The Premier League is back and things are really starting to get tense as we're halfway through the Premier League season. The title race is getting a little bit more intense and things are getting heated in the relegation battle. And unsurprisingly, Liverpool and Chelsea remain to be terrible. Even if Man City were to get a 15-point deduction, they'd still be ahead of Liverpool. So let's get into Game Week 23 Premier League predictions. But before that, really quick, if you could like the video, I'd really appreciate that a lot. Let's try to get 15 likes in the video, and if you are new to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe. And if you really want to support the channel, feel free to become a channel member. West Ham versus Chelsea. Both of these London-based clubs desperately need 3 points. Although West Ham picked up a very important point versus Newcastle, they're still well and truly in the relegation battle. Chelsea won the Champions League under Thomas Tuchel a couple of years ago. Now they're closer to 15th in the Premier League than they are to top 4. Chelsea did try to fix their problems by spending more money than every other football club on the planet in January. Now I don't know if that's factually true, but probably is. Both teams are in relatively bad form, so I reckon I'll just split the points. I reckon it will be a 1-1 draw. Lucas Paqueta will open the scoring and Enzo Fernandez will score his first goal for Chelsea as the most expensive Premier League player ever. Fulham versus Nottingham Forest. If you look at the Premier League table based on only results in 2023, Nottingham Forest are top of the lot. They are top of the Premier League. Things are finally starting to click. It only took 25 signings. One of them includes Keylor Navas. I know I went through this last week, but Keylor Navas plays for Nottingham Forest. Still not over it. I don't think I ever will be. Keylor Navas has completely changed my view on Nottingham Forest. If he wasn't the goalkeeper and it was still Dean Henderson, I would have said it would be another 1-1 draw. I don't see Dan James scoring against Keylor Navas though, so I reckon Nottingham Forest will win this game 1-0. Leicester versus Spurs. We all know the incredible story of Leicester winning the Premier League. Their manager was Ranieri. The following season, they were in between relegation battle and mid-table. He was sacked. Now Brendan Rodgers has had 2 poor seasons and is still the manager. They have shown more loyalty to Brendan Rodgers than they have to Ranieri. I know they won their last game versus Aston Villa, but this squad is too good to be in a relegation battle. I don't know how Brendan Rodgers still has a job, and I would be surprised if he is still Leicester manager next season, if Leicester are even in the Premier League. After a win versus Man City, Spurs will have loads of confidence, and I fancy them to go out and win this game 3-1 with a Harry Kane brace. Arsenal versus Brentford. Arsenal slipped up in their pursuit of the Premier League title last week after losing to Sean Dyche's Everton. Thankfully for the former Everton player and current Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta, their local rival Spurs helped them out after beating Man City. You'd surely think it's Arsenal's Premier League title for the taking. They're top of the league currently. They have a decent enough lead. I'd fancy them to go on to win the Premier League. Even with a bad result last week, I reckon they'll get back on form. And even though Brentford are a good side in pursuit of European football, I still would fancy Arsenal to go out and win this game 2-0 thanks to goals from Gabriel Martinelli and Nketiah. Crystal Palace versus Brighton. Crystal Palace have been so irrelevant this season. Usually they'll beat Man City at the Etihad. They might beat Man United as well. They drew with Man United. Elise scored a beautiful free kick, but I just feel like they've done nothing this season. They're not quite in a relegation battle, but they're not quite pushing for Europe. They're just in mid-table. And when you look back on this season for Crystal Palace, you'll only really remember it as the season Darwin Núñez headbutted Anderson. I feel like this will be a very exciting game. I fancy this to be the most exciting game of the game week. What should be a 0-0 draw, but I reckon it will be a 2-2 draw. Goals everywhere, and it'll be a fantastic game to watch, and Crystal Palace will have somewhat relevance. Southampton versus Wolves, and I've continuously said for the last couple of weeks, Southampton are staying up. I fancy that squad. I look at those players, some young, talented players, and I think they have enough to stay up, and every single week I look stupid. It's actually gotten to a point where, just to prove my point, I get upset when Southampton lose because I want to be right that they will stay up. Wolves beat Liverpool 3-0 last week, and I think people are overreacting. It's Liverpool. They have Joe Gomez at the back. It's really not that impressive. Both teams desperately need the points as they're both in a relegation battle, so I'll say it'll be a 1-1 draw. Orisic will open the scoring for Southampton and Mateus Cunha will get the equaliser. Bournemouth versus Newcastle. My Southampton prediction was very wrong, but I'm going to make another one that's probably end up going to be wrong, but Newcastle are going to fall off. They're not going to get top 4. I think they're going to get Europa League. There are slight cracks in the team. It's not a very big squad, so a few injuries could really harm them. I don't see them getting Champions League football. I expect them to get Europa League, but I do think they are going to fall off slightly. And to really emphasise my point, I reckon Newcastle are going to draw this game. It's going to be a 0-0 boring watch, and Bournemouth will get a very crucial point. Leeds versus Man United. Leeds are currently without a manager, and for some reason they're being linked to the likes of Steven Gerrard. That would be a terrible appointment, but they did perform well enough versus Man United, getting a 2-2 draw at Old Trafford. Now it's at Elland Road. United still without Casemiro, so he has a 3-game ban. He is so instrumental for them. He is absolutely brilliant and one of their key players. Without Casemiro, they look like a different side, and that is why Leeds are going to win this game. Leeds are going to win this game 2-1 thanks to a last-minute winner from Patrick Bamford. Man City versus Aston Villa. And since last week, where Man City had a poor performance versus Spurs, where they lost 1-0 in the stadium, which they cannot score, and there's been a lot of controversy around them as the Premier League has pressed over 100 charges. This is because of alleged breaches of the FFP rules. A similar thing happened to Juventus, where they got a 15-point deduction, and their form just fell off a cliff, and it'll be interesting to see if the same thing happens to Man City. I'm going to go off the basis this won't affect the Man City players. They might lose this game, but to be honest, this Man City side is too good at the Etihad. I think there will be a lot of support, and I reckon City will go out and win this game 3-0, a Haaland talent brace. Liverpool versus Everton. The best team in Merseyside travels to Anfield as well. They've actually won a game in 2023, while Liverpool have yet to win a game and have only got one singular point in the Premier League, and that was versus Chelsea. Surely this Liverpool team shows a bit of passion, a bit of fight in the Merseyside derby. I mean, they've looked empty this entire season. They've looked a shadow of their former selves. I would not be surprised if Liverpool lose this game or drop points at home to Everton, but every single week till it happens this year, Liverpool, I'm going to predict them to win a Premier League game. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I reckon Liverpool will win this game 1-0 thanks to a goal from Darwin Núñez. So that was my Game Week 23 Premier League predictions. Let me know what you thought of in the comments, and of course, as always, let me know your Game Week 23 Premier League predictions in the comments. If you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like. Let's try to get 15 likes on the video. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe, and if you want to support the channel that extra bit more, feel free to become a channel member. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you when Liverpool inevitably lose to Everton.